Good evening, everyone. I have to tell you, this is very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. It's overwhelming to sit and listen to people talk about you. Those of you that know me know that that's different. I have to say that Mickey, right after I was sworn in, I went to the luncheon, and that was when we met the first time. And you came to my office with Ruben, and you were telling me about this dinner, and you were telling me about the award, and I was like, oh, wow, that's just wonderful, that's just wonderful. And then you told me I was going to be the recipient of the award? And I was like, really? I was taken aback, one, because I had been mayor for about 5 minutes, but two, you explained to me it wasn't about that. It was about a body of work and how I had lived my life. And so I just want to thank you and thank you so much. I'm very humbled to receive this and knowing all of the people that came before me who have been recipients of this award. So thank you very much. And Nanette, I do miss my colleagues in Congress. I really do, because, you know, when you serve in Congress, you build real relationships, because you live together, really. You know, it's kind of like being in college. You work here during the week and go home on the weekend. And I'm very proud of you and the fact that the caucus has grown to 40 members. And in my time in Congress, I think that's probably double what it was in the 12 years that I served in Congress. So thank you so much, and all the other members of Congress. I know what it means after working all day to come to events. So thank you very much for your words. And Tom, you have to come back again. I'll tell you, there's parts of Skid Row that are a little better now. As we've been getting people off the streets. So just really have appreciated knowing you and working with you in your various roles. And then it was very exciting to go to the White House a few months ago and see you right back there, right where you belong, serving in this role. And we look forward to seeing you come back to Los Angeles again very soon. Thank you. And Senator Padilla, what you didn't mention about when you were elected to council, I remember you were the youngest member, I believe, in history to have been elected to council and becoming council president. And Antonio and I were laughing because we remember you on 9/11. We remember what you had to do where you were leading the city because the mayor at the time was actually out of town. And I remember watching you do those press conferences every morning, and I'm sure you would have never imagined that you would have been having to lead the city after a national and an international disaster. But it was an honor to serve with you in Sacramento and to see you move on and go not just directly to the Senate, Secretary of State, change voting in the state of California, where we don't have to worry about voter suppression because everybody has a ballot mailed to them, so you don't even have to leave your house to vote in California, and that was under your leadership. And then to see you ascend to the U.S. Senate, absolutely been an honor watching you on TV and the way you fight the good fight. I know it's tough over there in the Senate, but we're all very, very proud of you. And to my brother from another mother. I love that guy. We have known each other since we were barely out of our teens. And we grew up together. We grew up in a time when collaboration was a part of how we were raised. So we were activists as teenagers, post-civil rights, looking at all of the international struggles going on, the liberation and independent battles in Asia and Africa and Latin America. And we always identified with other people's struggles because we felt like they were struggling overseas, we were here, and we felt the unity in our struggles. And then over time, we watched a lot of people from those struggles come to the United States. I certainly remember the influx of folks from Central America during the independence movements in Central America. And as he mentioned, he was in East LA, I was in South LA. We were really more on the radical side. He didn't say that. as he was in CASA and I was in various organizations, and we were all fighting for social change. But he was the first one of my, group of activists that decided to run for office. And I remember saying to you, Antonio, you're going to run for office? You think they're going to let you do that? I mean, they're going to find out about you, and I'm not sure they're going to really let you do it. He was like, oh, Karen, I can do it. I think it'll be okay. And you did it, and we were like blown away, and he won. And I remember going up and visiting him in Sacramento, especially when he was speaker. And I barely, understood what that role was. And watching you as speaker, actually I didn't think about it, but I've kind of followed in your footsteps. And serving as speaker during a very tumultuous time, and I remember going back and visiting you, and you telling me that you were going to run for mayor. And I'm like, you're going to run for mayor, Antonio? You're going to be able to do that? And did it, he did. He did it in an amazing way and was an amazing leader. And a lot of what you did as mayor, whether you're talking about transportation, Stephanie Wiggins, who is our CEO from LA Metro. A lot of what I get to cut ribbons about is work that you did as mayor. And I am very excited and honored every time because he laid an incredible path and legacy for the work that you did in LA. So, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, we should give him a round of applause. And I heard when someone got that award, they looked at that award and they said, oh boy, just what I want, an award with Antonio Villaraigosa's face on it. Didn't you tell me somebody said that? Well, I want you to know that I am glad I have an award with Antonio Villaraigosa's face on it. And I want you to know that in my office, it's going to be right next to an award that I received with Tom Bradley's face on it. Because in the time that we grew up, again, it was in our DNA to unite. And just like he referenced, it's about math. If you look at the demographics in the United States, we are a country that is more and more becoming like the state of California, majority people of color. And if we join forces, nothing can stop us. And that is the basis. That's the basis of our unity now, but the other basis of our unity is our collective history together. And so when I started Community Coalition, it was actually 32 years ago, our focus was really on raising the next generation of leaders. We started it as an African American and Latino organization, and we focused on recruiting high school students because I was a high school student, actually I was a middle school student when I first got involved in politics. First campaign I was involved in, I was in junior high school. I forged my mother's name as a precinct captain for Bobby Kennedy's presidential campaign, and I went out and walked the precincts. But I've always believed, if you look at the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, the Latino movement, the Asian movement, it's always been led by young people, and I've always believed that it doesn't matter how young you are, you can get involved. So we started by recruiting high school students because I felt like the way to prevent gangs and drug involvement was to get people involved in political activism. And so by now, 32 years later, we've raised a couple of generations. And what we did with the young people was we taught them our history, our collective history. If you look at during the period of enslavement in the United States, where did a lot of enslaved Americans go? They fled to Mexico. They fled to Mexico. And hearing about the oppression that both groups face, it was a no-brainer for African Americans and Latinos to combine forces. And I'm proud to say that a couple of those activists that we recruited when I was first in the organization, and they were 13, 14 years old, now they are part of my staff. Actually, I don't know if the staff that's here knows that. But the Inside Safe, the work that we do on the streets, getting people off the streets, they're not youngsters anymore, they're in their mid-40s. But the whole point was to raise another generation of activists who would understand the point of our unity. And as our country is changing in demographics, there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable around that. And so what we went through during those 4 years of the last administration. We still suffer from the attacks on immigrants. To me, in the future, we will look at this as one of the worst moments in U.S. history. The idea that families would be separated, that children would be taken, and I believe that there are still hundreds of these children that have never found their way back to their parents and will grow up wondering how they got in the United States. Those issues hit at both of us because our legacies are joined together. And I think about the last time there was major immigration reform, which was in the 80s, and we would have those big rallies downtown, and people would come from Chinatown and South LA and East LA because we understood the unity of our struggles. And to me, that's a core part of who I am. It is about always struggling for social and economic change. And to do that, if you really believe in that, then you know that it's not just about who you are as an individual. It's about something that is much bigger and greater than you. And so you want to invest in that next generation because you know that the movement for social change never ends. We make some advances, like we certainly have, and then we have people that try to pull us back. Right now, we're fighting for our collective histories because we have states that are literally trying to make our histories illegal. And it is important that we always fight on behalf of each other. And I will say, too, just on a personal note, our unity is very personal to me. Since my children are Latino, my grandchildren are Latino. My late husband was a leader in Mecha, and for those folks that have been around for a while, you might remember La Raza Unida Party. He was in charge of La Raza Unida Party in the San Fernando Valley, probably when you were in elementary school. He was heading it up. And so it is not just political, it is not just professional, it is personal. And I will tell you that receiving this award is very personal to me and means the world. So thank you so much, Mickey. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.